Welcome back, everybody. My name is Gammatrap, one word, and today we're going to be talking about blending. Now that's kind of a big topic, and it's going to take a little bit to explain, but as you know, I'm going to walk you through every little step and hopefully make it as easy and as digestible as you can possibly get anywhere. Hopefully. That's the plan. That's the goal. So, I'm sorry there's no face cam right now. You're pretty much going to be talking to my canvas, but trust me, that's for the best. So, when it comes down to blending, right? The very first steps you learn are as a kid, right? You learn that one color mixed with another one will turn into something completely different, right? That's just some like elementary school, like young little kid stuff, right? Or beginner artist stuff. Everyone kind of knows that. Everyone kind of gets that. But the same works with values. So we start with black, the darkest value we got, and we just brush really hard on the canvas and we get a nice little black smudge. Now, if you have pin pressure turned on or a very soft brush, you can gently kind of stroke the canvas and you get this gray here, right? So if you select that gray and you do it again, select that gray, do it again, select that gray, and it slowly blends into until you're just pretty much picking the same color as the canvas. So here is pretty much how we move a blending of values, right? You could, if you wanted to, just use just one brush stroke, right? You could press down really hard and then slowly let go, right? And depending how much pin pressure sensitivity you might have, I actually hinder myself. I drop my pin pressure. I don't want all 8,000 some odd levels of pressure. That bugs the hell out of me because I don't like to press very hard on the canvas. But so you could, if you wanted to, just do that one brush stroke. And technically speaking, this is kind of blending, right? Pin pressure is kind of nice with that. So the way we can move this around is we can then color pick this gray and move it kind of towards the black area. And we can color pick that and move it kind of back until we have a much smoother transition, even from the background color. And this is just the basics of blending. This is how you blend values. And so my pieces will have a shape, right? And then I'll cut the shape up to make it the shape that I want it to be. And then I'll slowly just start blending in values, right? I'll just add little basic stuff, and I'll color grab that gray, and I'll use it to kind of cut more shapes. And I'll color grab that gray, which is slightly lighter, and then I'll just kind of use it to get a little dark area right there. Get some horns on whatever I'm making. I don't know what this is. Right? You get my point? So blending is a super powerful, it's essentially an entire drawing technique all on its own. It's like I said, it's how I paint absolutely everything. Everything I do is made with blending. Does that make a little more sense? I hope it does. I really hope it does. But before we go any further, I would like to thank today's sponsor, and that's me. Relax, don't click away, don't skip ahead. It's just me, okay? Chill. And in the description down below, you'll find links to my Gumroad. If you would like any of my artwork, pretty much all of it is available for free to download at the 1080p resolution. Now, I don't draw in 1080p, mostly. That's this. This is 1080. Look at that. That little guy right down there, that's 1080p. Right, I usually draw higher than 4K, right? So way up here. So if we zoom into 100%, we can see every little detail of this dude. We can see little hairs and stuff, and a little 1080 down there. You know, if we zoom 100%, it still fills up the screen. But if we zoom in anymore, it's all pixelated and kind of fuzzy. And so I mean, like the 4K is available for purchase for $1.50. Not necessary at all. Every one of my pieces are free for the 1080. If you would like more than 1080, which you don't need for most cases, if you'd like more than 1080, you could buy it, and that helps support me. Also, on my Gumroad are my brushes. We've got burnt and ash. These are actually fantastic blending brushes. I made them specifically for really cool blending effects, for like kind of grungy like textures and stuff. And ash has a bit of a canvas kind of feel to it, right? So it's kind of like you're painting on a canvas, or at least it looks like you're painting on a canvas. So if you zoom in, you can kind of see the kind of canvasy texture. I love these brushes for so many things. Once I made these, I was like, yes, because put together on a piece, it's glorious. I've got a piece coming out pretty soon that's almost made exclusively with those brushes. But back to the actual topic. It's nice to make money off these things, but it's not the point of this video. So to do this, we're going to continue with using just a basic brush that everybody has, hard round pressure opacity. You might have seen me use this brush a couple times before. It's one of my favorites, honestly. It's a basic brush that comes with every copy of Photoshop, right? And that's the one I was using earlier, where you just kind of, it's one of these. It's very simple, very basic, but it's kind of sharp around the edges, and it's great for cutting in silhouettes. I love this brush. Too much, probably too much. I try not to use too many brushes. That's why when I make brushes, I've only made these two. But anyway, you can find these on my Gammatrap, right? So back to the actual subject here. So with blending, color blending and whatnot, knowing what you know now, seeing how I paint, with the mask and stuff like that, with the skull head with the horns I was making earlier. You see, I cut the shapes of these trees. I cut the shapes of the horse and the dude, and I blended all this stuff up, and every little aspect of this stuff was made with blending, including our buddy here. And I made this in black and white, and then I added the color later. Let's actually use one of my texture brushes here, right? With a color picker, you could do this with already made images. Let's actually give it color again, so I can paint with the color. The color picker is, if you have your brush and you hold down Alt, you have your eyedropper tool, which is a regular tool. You can just click, it's up here. Now, it should come standard with sample all layers, but you could change it to sample current layer and below, slightly more advanced stuff. You don't have to worry about that right now. We're not going to get into that just yet. All right, this is just the basic stuff. Basic blending, basic stuff. Nice and easy. Not necessarily basic, because it's obviously pretty powerful, but this is how I paint almost all of my pieces, okay? So I make a basic shape, or I make a cool drawing or an outline or a silhouette of some kind, or I take a piece I've already made, like right now. Let's add some detail to this mouth right now. I have no idea what I'm going to do, so this is going to be all live. I'm just going to color pick that, which is kind of like this deep red right down there. I can start adding in colors and shades and make that brush a little smaller. Let's give this a little more definition, right? All I'm doing is with my brush, I'm just holding down Alt, picking a color, drawing it in with varying pressure, right? And I'm just going to pick the next color, draw it back, and you can just do this over and over as much as you like. That's why you never need to be scared. A lot of artists I talk to are like, oh man, once I get so far in a drawing, I don't want to go back and do anything with it because I'm scared. I did so much work on it before already, and now I don't want to ruin all the progress I've made. You can't be scared, okay? No need to be scared. Just paint over it. I know it's daunting. I know it's maybe a little heartbreaking, because you're sitting there and you're like, oh my god, I spent 6 hours and the body is not right. I'm just now noticing. I just finally flipped my canvas or something, and you're like, and it's not right. It's ruined. I feel so discouraged. Don't be discouraged, okay? It's perfectly natural. It's perfectly normal to feel like you might have wasted time, but everything is fixable, okay? Everything you just paint over, like the great Bob Ross once said, there are no mistakes, only happy accidents. And that guy wouldn't have digital. That guy was pure traditional style stuff. Just paint and canvas. Digital, we have a lot more forgivability. But they say, mo money, mo problems, right? That's a little too dark. We just grab that. But anyway, you get my point, right? I'm not going to try and sit here and waste your time just working on a piece I've already made. So that's what we did, just real quick. Just add a little different colors and cuts and definitions and textures and such. Nothing crazy. I think it adds a pretty cool thing to it. I kind of want to save it, but I've already made this piece and it's already on my Gumroad for everyone to download if they want. I don't want to... Oh yeah, new updated version with slightly more defined jaw. Anyway, so that's pretty much how the blending thing works, right? You just get a brush that you like, any brush. Doesn't have to be my brushes. It could be any brush, maybe a brush that you already enjoy, right? And it, again, doesn't even have to be with a pen. Let me go over here real quick. Let's get just a super soft brush, soft round pressure opacity. This is another basic brush that everybody's got, right? Now I'm just gonna use my mouse real quick. Yeah, I'm gonna be that guy. I'm gonna put the pen down, and I'm just rocking the mouse. I feel powerful, right? Now to make it easier on yourself, if you don't have a pen, drop the flow and drop the opacity a bit. This will make it a little like you got to go over it a couple more times, right? But that's a blessing because then you could just kind of color pick and maybe drop the flow and opacity a little more and see how it's blending from. Let's make it a little dark right there. So now we got like pretty much pure black right here. And we can just grab that gray and then grab that gray, kind of move it over here. And so you can see how you can blend stuff pretty decently with just your mouse if you want to. And I think you could do a couple of stuff. It's kind of harder with texture brushes, even mine. But again, if you drop the flow and opacity with a brush, you don't need pen pressure to do it right, but you will be kind of going over a lot more steps because you've just rocking a mouse. It is a bit more difficult. So just know that. It's not impossible, right? But just know it's not as easy. Now, when doing this softer kind of stuff right here, right? I was using the soft brush, right? Soft round pressure opacity. All you got to worry about is just grab a color. I probably increase these back from. I'm not doing my mouse. I'm using my pen now. You just pick that color right there, and you could just, if you wanted to, just go crazy, go on full pressure. But for blending's sake, you could just let's do something kind of cool. Let's add one of my favorite little zigzags. I like to add a little zigzag on her arm. Pretty cool. I mean, not really practical because then it makes her arm look like she has like weird like lumps and maybe scar tissue or something. But I mean, it's pretty cool if we're being real. Now to fix that, we just grab that brighter color and gently kind of go over that a bit more. And now, after you've made the cool texture and cool design, and then soften it back up again with the bright on the middle, it kind of looks like maybe something crawling under her skin, like a Linkin Park song. It's kind of more crazy, more haunting, right? Blending's. I think by now you're probably starting to realize how powerful blending truly is. Blending is like one of the one key things that separates drawing from painting, right? So if you draw, let's just get like a hard round pressure size, right? Another default. If you draw, you're pretty much just doing line art, right? Where you've got lines, and those are defining the outline of the image. I'm just scribbling here, but you get my point. There's not really much blending to be done here at this stage, but if you were to draw and then you wanted to add blending to it afterwards to make it a painting, kind of like how this one is, because she started, and I actually left a lot of line work here for kicks and gigs, just kind of because I like line work in some of my pieces. She started as a drawing, but then I added values and colors and shapes, and then I started blending, and not everything is drawn. See, there's no line work on her hand, right? But there's still some line work in the sheets, still some scribbles from the earlier phases. But it's easy to take I say it easy, but it's easier, right, than maybe you think, to start it with a drawing and then just add values and shades and turn it into a painting with the power of blending. I probably don't have to make this round shape for you, but I don't know. It's really fast. All right, so now it's got a little bit of a bounce. That's some shadow. Yeah. See, it took it from a drawing to now technically it's a painting, and all we really did was we just blended. We blended. There we go. We just blended some shades, some values, right? We cut a shape with the drawing, and we just kind of blend a bit. So now, with that in mind, I'm going to use the not hard round pressure size. I'm going to use a hard round pressure opacity. Again, I don't really like having this pressure sensitivity on the size because it just really messes me up. It's a personal preference thing. So I'd much rather have just that. One of the things that I've always said was I prefer to have control over as few things as possible, right? And I know that sounds kind of counterintuitive, but all I want to worry about right now is the opacity. So right now, you might notice I'm not actually kind of really painting. Technically speaking, like this is still kind of drawing. Only difference is there's a bit more blending involved. Make sure I got the eraser set to the exact same brush to make things more even and uniform. So I can kind of cut that stuff up. Let's actually give it like that. Kind of a round neck. Actually, you know what? I like a little extra challenge. I'm not going to use the eraser at all. I'm just going to use the brush. I'm just going to color pick. I'll color pick the background. Yeah. Okay, so I like to just put a little shape in. And I could go in and add some more depth. Make a bull dude, like a minotaur. Ooh, that sounds cool. Make a minotaur. And at some point, I'm going to time lapse this just so I can go on with the situation. But at the moment, I'm just going to keep talking. But I draw first, right? It's okay to draw. I have a lot of friends who are like, Gamma, how do I, make a piece like that? I'm like, well, see, let's look at your pieces, and it's all just anime drawings and stuff. And I'm like, okay, well, for starters, you're drawing. If you want to make a piece like this, you can continue drawing if you want to, but you could always take it into a painting. And a lot of people are always really confused, like, oh, well, what's the difference between a drawing and a painting? And in my experience, it's pretty much just blending. It makes you think more about values, more of a 3D space sort of situation, Like right now, I'm really starting to add. See, now here's the blending, right? I'm color picking. I get different shades of gray, different shades of the background kind of color. What if we gave him like one of them nose rings? He's a hipster minotaur. He's a cool kid. You can continue to draw while you're doing this kind of stuff. Actually, maybe not a nose ring. How about we? Ooh, that's my excited sound. Ooh. Let's make him like an undead minotaur. You're getting Halloween time, okay? It's the time for spooky. Let's make this like a demon kind of minotaur. All right. Let's cut the areas where we want. What if we made him stand a little taller? Yeah. This is sort of my thought process while I'm going about doing my typical thing anyway. So, I mean, some people are always like, oh, man, Gamma, you don't ever talk to us enough, man. You're always just showing us time lapses, which are cool, right? Don't get me wrong, but I want to know what's going on inside your head. I mean, this is exactly what's going on inside my head. I'm probably talking too much. We'll have a sharp cut for the mouth. That's what I'm thinking this could be, right? And so you'll notice when I'm doing this, I'm grabbing like the darkest value, and I'll slowly push the lighter value very gently into the darker value, and that's a very common form of blending, right? This guy needs eyes at some point. Let's grab a light value and just kind of draw where eyes could be. This is okay. This is already spooky. It's kind of creepy too. I mean, I don't want this guy to look too dumb, too dopey. I want to be spooky. Let's make a more strong kind of shape. Right. We'll just draw an outline. Have a really cool silhouette. So often, I'll typically challenge like my friends or I'm almost reticent to call people students. I don't ever like charge people for courses or anything. I've been told I probably should, but people like hanging out in my Discord, or we'll just talk and we'll play games or something. But every so often, we'll be drawing, or I'll be drawing, and they'll just kind of be drawing along with me, doing their own thing while I'm working on something specific for a commission or for a studio or something. And they'll be like, "All right, Gamma, what's on the agenda? What are we doing?" I'm like, "All right, we're making a Minotaur." Okay, and they'll just kind of draw along with me while I'm working. How about kind of lower ears, just kind of just chilling down there. But I'll challenge them from time to time. I'll be like, "All right, let's not use the eraser at all." I'm like, "What? Yeah, let's just not use the eraser. We don't need the eraser. Let's just draw with blending." If you tell them not to use the eraser, and they're used to drawing, it's like they're saying goodbye to an old friend. It's kind of funny, right? But in a good way, It's like when a kid's like, I don't want to leave my blanket at home, Like it's cute that they're so distraught, because that they'll become stronger for it later. But at the moment, they just don't see how their torture is beneficial in any way. You're like, trust me, relax, okay, come on, calm down, just try it. What's the worst that can happen? It's just drawing. It's not the end of the world, But they're like, "No, Gamma, I'm nothing without my eraser." It's funny. And if any of y'all are watching this video, I'm sorry for laughing at you. I'm laughing with you, because now, after you've drawn without the eraser, you're good now, right? Good now? You're all right. See? Wasn't that bad. Let's add more shape. Let's add more crazy silhouette. Oh, God. This is my favorite part. If I'm being real with you, it's one of my favorite parts of any draw. Let's make that neck, I don't know, thick neck or thin neck. I don't know, I'm torn. Let's do a thick neck. Screw it. Bulls are often beefy. I'm sorry. I might just mute myself while I'm time-lapsing this. I might have already started the time-lapse. Well, let's actually change this up just a bit. Actually, let's make this more anatomically correct. Now that we got the actual like idea down, let's make this look more like a bull. How about that? If I remember correctly, I'm gonna pull some references up. Okay, so I want this bull to look, or at least this bull guy, this Minotaur, to have some actual bull-like features, you know, so you can like, oh, that's a bull. It's a bull dude. That's a Minotaur. Bull's noses come like all the way down. Make this brush nice and big. There we go. There. Snout kind of has a little round bit to that. And usually like the lips will be like way, way down there. But because this bull is like a freaking demon, let's adjust the eyes. How about that? Eyes of bulls are usually closer to, I mean, if they're looking like down their snout at you, probably closer to that level. Kind of spread out. Because bulls, the bovine, are prey animals for the most part, so they need eyes on the sides of their heads. And that's just something to consider also, by the way. This isn't really an anatomy video, but like, it's good to know this kind of stuff. And if you don't know it, it's good to look it up, you know? Always check references. Always look up information about your subject if you can, or at least your inspirations. Knowing your goals, like, oh, yeah, this is a monster, so it's not really going to be a bull. It's not really going to be a person. It's going to be like a strange hybrid between the two, but if you want those features in there, you got to make it at least a little recognizable, you know. Now, something you also might have realized is we haven't zoomed in at all. Like, did you notice that yet? Like, we haven't gone in and be like, oh, okay, let's get this stuff down. You know, like we haven't at all. If that concept of doing a piece without zooming in scares you, I mean, it's fine. It's always good to have like some cool detailed work, but when you're just making a quick little doodle like this, I mean, you don't really got to worry too much about zooming in and stuff. I mean, you totally could. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, we probably could improve this by a lot if we actually did decide to just go crazy and put a lot of detail and stuff in there. But I'm just trying to say, a lot of people that always like, oh man, Gamma, dude. One of the things I often tell them is like, okay, so you're spending a lot of time focusing on the little things, You're not really focusing too much on the big picture. And like, well, how do I focus on the big picture? I'm like, well, step one is don't zoom in for a while. Like zoom in whenever you're ready for the details. Whenever the details are ready to do their thing. Like go for it. Of course, yeah. But like if you're not ready for like the details, don't worry too much about zooming in so much. I've got a friend of mine who will work on like 20 pixels at a time, and I'm always like, why are you doing this? And she's always like, oh man, the image always comes out looking flat or whatever her complaint is of her self-critique while she's doing that. I'm like, okay, well, it's looking good, but have you considered, it's just a thought, have you considered not zooming in immediately? Give it time. Just let it marinate a little bit. Let it steep. Let it figure itself out. And then, once you're finally ready, you can try, you can zoom in a bit. But don't worry too much about it. And that thought just terrified her. Which I get, Everyone does things differently. If every artist did the same stuff, I mean, even right now, you're here either just to listen to me ramble about stuff while drawing a Minotaur, which is perfectly possible. Hey, by the way, how are you? Not to call you out, but probably you're here because you want to learn about blending and whatever in a interesting kind of way. And if you were to take all of these methods and all of these pieces of advice I've got, right, and you were to implement them exactly as you saw them, I mean, you still wouldn't draw like me. Not like, oh man, here I'm trying to learn this tutorial. Dude's like, you ain't gonna be like me. Not like that, but I mean, like every artist. Let's add some really, really bright highlights. Just a couple. Being very gentle with it, But every artist does things different, which kind of makes it a really beautiful thing. Like, I'll tell you all the information I've got, right? I'll give you all this stuff. I'll give you all the secret sauce. But I mean, what you do with it's going to be completely up to you, which I think is really cool. I think having that ability to just have your own little unique vision, unique ideas, and then practice different stuff and then come up with your own unique way to do things. I think that's really neat. And one of the beautiful things about making all this art stuff. Okay, now that we've added some highlights, let's start some blending. The whole point of this video. And all we're doing is we're just color picking, right? Remember? Brush, hold on Alt, click the color you want, brush with it, click the next color you want, brush with it, and blend the values together. I know not a lot of people are like, oh my god, Gamma, dude, why are these videos so long, bro? And I'm like, oh, listen, do you want, would you rather pay a lot of money to go to a course or to take classes? I mean, it's cool if you do. Like, again, I'm not trying to discount that. There's a lot of great, amazing teachers who can help you one-on-one and even like who know more about this stuff than even me, you know, and give you different ideas to think of, because, you know, not every session or every method works for everybody. And they'll drive you to really, you know, succeed, which is really cool. But I mean, you know how your friends are always like, man, I could just watch YouTube tutorials for free. I mean, they're not really wrong in this case. I just want this stuff to be as open and available to people as possible, so that I can, and this is the selfish part, so that I can, see cool artwork. Like, that's it. That's my master plan. I love artwork, so I mean, whatever I could do to help more artists make cool artwork, I'm down, yo. I'm like, that's all I gotta do. That's it. Okay, you got it. Shoot. To be able to see cool artwork all the time, I just gotta maybe help people with ideas or techniques, and then they can start making more cool artwork. I'm so down. Remember, this is the selfish part. This is the selfish reason I'm making these videos. I know I'm the worst. It's always funny to watch this, like, weird progression, you know? If you can't have fun with your work, I mean, what's the point of working, right? Now again, like, if we wanted to, we could use some of my brushes, right? And we'll zoom in just a little bit here. And we'll just grab, you know, any value and, like, this, you're about to witness the beauty of a texture brush. I like using these things pretty much just to break up like boring colors and textures. So, for example, this armor, very smooth, very boring, right? Let's add a little bit of little creases, cracks. Give it a little texture. Very gently brushing, and then we can take the light part. Do the opposite direction. Kind of highlight the lighter area. Yeah, not bad. And again, that's just one of my brushes. That's just burnt. Just because I like a little texture sometimes, a little extra flavor. So there you go, everybody. Hope you found that video helpful, entertaining, useful. Subscribe if you'd like to see more tutorials like it. I like to make a bunch of free stuff for everyone to enjoy and learn and grow. And I like to make tools like these brushes. And check out my Gumroad for the brushes. And also, if you'd like to download any of my work, remember, just check the Gumroad. You can get the free versions of almost all of my work there at 1080p. Or you can, if you'd like to support me, throw $1 or so, you know, add me for the 4K versions of these pieces. And then sometimes I throw bonus stuff in, like animated loops and all that stuff. But I really hope you found this video useful, helpful, entertaining. Like if you liked it. Subscribe to see more stuff like it. And thank you so much for my amazing patrons, also with whom support the Ever-Love Anatomy. And thank you very, so incredibly much. I'll see you all next time. Leave a comment. By the way, if you like to think of some other tutorials or like, oh, Gamma, help me with this, I can't figure it, just leave me a comment, right? I'll read them, and thank you so much. See you next time.